Hey, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good Thursday, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to ADRAMADA, another Dave Rush Ask Me Anything. I am the aforementioned Dave Rush, your tech from Texas. This is ADRAMADA, and we get together every Thursday night, my time, to talk tech, do a project, interview someone, just to get together and kind of enjoy each other's company and from a tech standpoint. Thank you, Scott. So much to say. Scott, here, I'll interrupt my opening diatribe, monologue, if you like. I threw you under the bus last week, Scott. I told everybody how you were dressed when I stopped by your place the other day. So, dressed to the nines is exactly the words that I used. And then I fully described what exactly to the nines meant. Hey, so we do get together every Thursday. Topics are wide-ranging. We celebrate technology. We like electric cars and electric guitars. We like music and movies and energy and computing and Linux and ethics and space. Oh, there's space news, and I didn't even write it up tonight, so maybe we'll remember it, so maybe somebody will remind me. Of course, we give a big nod to our friend Raspberry Pi. He turns up probably about a third of the time, including tonight and including last week. But, I love the things, and there's always something cool and amazing to do. If you are not watching this live, you will not know that this was recorded on Thursday, February 15th. If you're watching this on Thursday, February 15th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, then you'll know it's live and we're interactive. And we hope that if you're watching this in the archive, you can find time in your busy schedule. I know some of you are watching right now as I'm recording this live. You are asleep because it's 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning in Australia or the Middle East or wherever you happen to be. So I understand if you don't want to get up, but there you go. It is February 15th, makes us halfway through Leap February. This past Saturday, we just began a new Lunar New Year. This Lunar New Year is the Year of the Dragon. And Lunar New Years cycle through 12 constellations. So in 12 years from now, or 12 years ago, in 2012, we were at another, or will be at another Year of the Dragon. I should actually have paid attention to find out what year we were coming out of, but somebody will look that up. Today, at least the date, is noteworthy because nothing. I went through all my usual this day in history type things. Said, no, there's just really nothing I want to share except, I guess, Plato, if you like the old Steve Martin joke, was sentenced for execution today, about 600 years BC, for corrupting the minds of youth. Yeah, I know. A great irony, right? I wonder how long it was after that before somebody said, he's a great thinker. We probably ought not to have killed him, or they probably ought not have executed him. Here we are. If you're keeping count, not counting the ones that we have discarded because they were so awful in our first shows, this is Surviving Show in the archives number 48. I think we killed 3 or 4 shows. It should be 52 because we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary, which actually is, I think, next week or the week after. So it's probably week 50, but whatever. Discord has a home, all the way around. ADRAMADA has a Discord home. I put this notice out about once a week, get a couple new people every week, and some wonderful persons contacted me on there this week, and it turned into a wonderful adventure that I will share with you in short order. So there's the invitation to the Discord server. If you ever want to contact me, as this individual did, that's a great way to do it. Just if I'm up, Discord's up, and I hear it ping me all the time. No, it's silenced right now. If you don't want to contact me on a Discord server, and I'm on about 5 of them, with more to go, it turns out. Thank you, Scott. Heck of an idea. Here's my email addresses, and we can communicate in a more intimate fashion if you so choose. Those are in the chat session. So where are we? What did we do last week? What are we going to do this week? And then we'll check in and see where everybody is and what they're saying. And of course, if you're going to do that, you got to set up one of these things. Click, click, click. I have AV magic going on this week. Why is that transparent? Because it's a transparent image. Foolish man. That's fine. So last week we explored the Raspberry Pi compute module, the CM4. There are CM3s and CM2s, and there will be a CM5. And we looked a little bit about carriers, and then the little box in the center of the image that you see there, beg your pardon, there we go, is the actual compute module. It's a Raspberry Pi with no physical ports. It's all just wires. Even the power is just wires. So that's what we did last week. This week, we got something else very interesting in mind. Another operating system that's, you'll pardon the pun here, very popular, Pop! OS, was ported some time ago to run on the Raspberry Pi. It's kind of a flavor of Ubuntu, but yeah, a little different. And the next generation of it has come out, and the first generation was pretty good. This generation has taken pretty good to the next level. And when we marry that operating system and the Pi 5, we may have actually, I have nothing to do with this, they may have actually created a combination that makes the Pi 5 a viable daily driver. So I am very, very excited about this iteration of Pop! OS, which is called Pop! !Pi, Pop Pi. And if you saw my LinkedIn messages, the first thing I saw in my mind when I saw Pop Pi was my childhood latchkey staple. I can say I'm latchkey now because my parents aren't around anymore to be insulted by that. Sorry, Mom and Dad. And I said something to that effect on one of the Discord channels, and Tulwood immediately leapt in with the much more obvious, because I'm so idiot, Popeye. So that is the nature of today's banner graphic for this show. All right, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to install and tour Popeye, and we're doing some new AV magic. I tested it a while back. It worked. I tested it today, and it caused my system to crash, and I think I know why, and I'm not doing that again. But if I crash and burn, stick around. I will be back up in under 5 minutes, and I will pre-apologize for that. News update for everybody who won giveaway prizes. They are boxed up and ready to ship. I'm missing addresses from, I think, 2 people. I will kick you off a note tomorrow morning, a fresh email to say I didn't get it for whatever reason, and I will get them all addressed tomorrow, and they will go out and get shipped on Friday. So, cool stuff. And I had a good time packing that stuff up. Tech news of the week. I only have one tech news story. And so we'll get into that. Let's get, people are pounding away here. I see my chat screen floating like mad. So let's go over and see who's here and what you're all doing. Nice turnout for our shows lately. Thank you. Tullowit, as ever and always, half hour early. 15 minutes later, Shia Moonstone pops in. Hello, Shia. Thank you for being here. You are truly a regular now. You have moved into old-timer status. I've been doing Monty Python quotes for the last couple of months. I'm getting near the end of them. But, wow, if you're a Monty Python fan, did you follow the feud that flared up this week between Eric Idle and everybody else that's left? Wow. That kind of stuff, it's a real shame that it makes it into public because, some of us look at that at Monty Python and things like that with great reverence. And, we know that all of the people involved are people and there's personalities and there's likes and their dislikes, but it's really nice when that stuff stays underground and it doesn't bubble to the surface and destroy the image that many of us have built around them. So unfortunate stuff. No, I'm not going to recap it all. You can read about it if you didn't, and maybe I just ruined it for you. Sorry about that. So Scott is here. Tullowit's here. Thanks for popping in, Scott. Appreciate that. You don't feel obligated. You know, you and I, we have a long-standing relationship, but and I'm glad when you come by, and I will do the same for anything that you've got going on, and the stuff that we've talked about. I'm happy to help out with that, and you have been just beyond helpful with editing the documents that I've been working on. Thank you, and thank you for coming in. Scott Jernigan, I am great. Tullowit, very nice. You're setting up your new Pi 4B this week. It's fun. You had to find all kinds of cables. So you need, I mean, it's got Wi-Fi. Your house has Wi-Fi, so you don't need that. But of course, you could always run a cable to your switch on your router. You certainly need that video cable. Oh, well, whatever you found you needed. I'm glad it's working out. Hello, Patricia. Patricia Grace. Thank you for coming as ever and always as well. I like that. Patricia, she pops in. And, yeah, I'm here for Dave's show. Oh, Scott's here. Scott, we should be doing this. This should be a co-hosted thing. But then my membership would soar. I don't want to do that. Had to find that one too. Yeah, so I went to Micro Center yesterday as well. I'll tell you the story of that because it's a good story. You wouldn't think just the trip down to Micro Center is a good story, but it is. Yeah, then we've been at each other on spending way too much. I spent $20, I'm happy to say. I bought a spool of 3D printer filament, and I had they send me a coupon about once a month or once every 2 months for a free either micro SD card or flash drive. So I got a 128 gig micro SD card. Is that going to show up on camera? Close enough. And I just got a coupon for the next one, so I'll be down there again. Don't you love that shirt, Patricia Grace? I freaking do. I stacked all my fun shirts one day, and I went through every show. Which shirt did I wear? Which shirt did I wear? And I'm not OCD, but I did stack them in order that they've been worn so I can cycle them. And then I made a stack of all the shirts that I haven't worn. And I was just very excited waiting for this one to pop up. And, yes, in your PJs. And it was only like 7:30 at night. I did not say he was a furry. I may have implied it. Jason's here. Hola, Jason Helms. Time got away. It's okay. I watch a shindig every Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock my time. I set my alarm for 12:57 to watch it, and the alarm went off, and I was knee deep in work, and I looked at it, couldn't even remember what I'd set the alarm for, and just kept cranking away. And then about an hour later, at 1:59, 1 minute before their show ends, like, oh rats, I missed it. Oh well, there was work to be done. I probably would have missed it anyways if I'd realized it. Joe Giovanetti is here. Hey, welcome back, Joe. Got your stuff bagged up, boxed up. I use Pop on my Linux desktop. Do you? That is so cool. I'm stunned. Please add anything that you have, because I haven't had a chance to dig deeply into it. I thought Patricia Grace might be playing Pop, and I think she's maybe Mint. You may be doing Mint, but oops. Super scrolled. Love Chinese too. The calendar or the food or the people or all of them. Okay, we're going for food. There's no hope for sex. What did you say? I slid past it. Pot pies. Very tasty. I haven't had one since I was a kid. But I saw pot pie, and man, I went nostalgia mode and started thinking about those days of youth. No hope for sassiness. Pot pies are better than Pol Pot. Jeez, that's thin. but it's true. Growing up, Chinese food to us was le choy. And what was it? Mexican food. I don't think the first time I ever had Mexican food was an upper Midwest restaurant. We'll call it Mexican. It was called Chi-Chi's. It has nothing to do with Mexican food other than the names of things. Was there Ortega taco shells and ground beef? That was... We were sheltered. Okay? My folks did not come from a sophisticated background or anything that was pretty much beyond two neighborhoods, the ones where they grew up and the one where they moved us to grow up. So, yeah, the feud was just nasty. Very sad. I feel like him being there standing on one leg. Supposed to be getting a Micro Center here in 24. Haven't seen it yet. You'd think I should call Corp to complain and take my money. Absolutely. Oh man, Micro Center, what a joyous place. You live near a Micro Center. Very cool. I live on the far side of town from one. To get from my house to Micro Center in no traffic is an hour, and you have to go through either downtown Houston or the loop just around downtown Houston, and that makes it an hour 20, an hour 30. Still worth the occasional trip. Goya, yeah, Goya. Okay, you're on cinnamon. Okay, no Mexican food north of Texas. That's exactly right. Hey, well, very good. We're caught up here. Let's start the slideshow, see what's going on. That's transparent. I want to talk about edge routers for a second. This is not tech news. I've got four kind of personal oriented news and then one techie news that I thought was worth sticking in. That's about it. So lately I have been getting into routers, and the first time I saw these little Ubiquiti edge routers was probably 3, maybe 4 years ago. I've got one that arrived. I know you can't see it very well with my thing up in the corner. I'll show this again when I go straight to head. Wow, I just realized something that OBS needs. I'm going to write their feature request for them. That's pretty cool. But anyways, they have these little pocket-sized routers. They do everything that enterprise routers do, with two exceptions. They don't have as much memory as an enterprise router, so they can't hold 1.2 million routes in them plus. And they don't have as fast a processor, which they don't really need because they don't have that many routes to deal with. So I got one of these because I started the bones of an outline for a course, a video, I'm not sure which direction I'm going to go, that's going to teach networking beyond the basic certification programs that I used to participate in. And so we're going to get into how to do RIP routing and BGP and EIGRP and OSPF and all that. This will be built around a kit that has a pair of Raspberry Pis. One will have servers on it. One will run various clients on it, web servers, FTP clients, whatever. And then we'll do a configuration on the router. And then we'll test each configuration for contactability. I fully intend to generate an amazingly thorough course and set of labs on subnetting, and we're going to take it into the practical side of things. We're going to put subnetted things on each of these ports. So it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really interesting. There's all kinds of models of these things. This is the most basic model, 5-port edge router. There's 5 ports, there's 8 ports, there's even 24 ports. At that point, they stopped being compact. They've got SFP versions, PoE versions, all kinds of goodies. So if you're looking to learn a little bit about routing, $50. Yes, I do know that. So I stick it over the left shoulder, the right shoulder. Thank you. So anyways, 50 to $100 and less. I got this one for like $26 on eBay. You can start learning some serious networking. And there will be kits available. If you want to follow along, I will have them available for you. Next. Oh, there's more. My Photoshop skills coming through. Okay. Thank you, Patricia Grace. So I did a notice to you guys a couple of weeks ago that says I am done with my search engine of choice for the last year and a half, 2 years, which was Quant, because they barfed at my ad blocking. I don't know if it was my Pi-hole that killed them or one of the other ad blockers that I'm running, or Brave, or whichever it was. And so I abandoned it. I went back to DuckDuckGo. I posted this information, said, by the way, if anybody has any great suggestions for an alternative suggestion, an alternative search engine, let me know. And somebody on LinkedIn sent me a message that said, have you tried Presearch? No, I haven't. I wasn't even aware of it. So I went and looked into Presearch. This is their homepage. Presearch is a distributed search engine. So they have a front end. You go to presearch.com or whatever it is, click that tryout thing, and you type in whatever you want to search, and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, however many stations there are out there. There's folks just, run a little piece of software on their computer when it's sitting idle, and their central site hands off the search to one or more of these nodes. You can be a node for Presearch. And they will conduct the search, and then they send it back for consolidation at the main site, and the main site hands you the results. So I thought, well, that's got to be laggy as all get out. And I spent probably an hour trying to do really long, ugly, evil, complicated searches. And if it's slower than using your singular favorite search engine, it ain't noticeable by normal humans. So that was interesting. They have a pay-to-use program where you accumulate credits, their tokens. What do they call it? A pre-token. And I don't know what you can do with their pre-tokens, and I'm not signed up. You can use it without signing up. My guess is if you're a node, you also get some of this tokenization. If there is a potential benefit to participating in this token program, it is that after you achieve some number of tokens, you can invoke their AI to contextualize and narrow down the more likely search hits than the generic ones. And all these nodes, by the way, they're hitting all of the search engines. So it's a conglomeration of all the results. And it does some kind of pre-filtering in there. It's interesting. I'm not ready to switch, but I am running about half of my searches on there. And then I run it on DuckDuckGo as a comparison to see where we go. And it's something interesting to look at. Web search, by the way, is presearch.io. I was in a conversation with somebody on a Discord server the other day. There's probably something very personal in here that I'm giving away. This is a snapshot of my email inbox from some time ago. We were talking about age of Raspberry Pis and things like that, and that got me wondering, when did I get my first Raspberry Pi? And this email is the confirmation of ordering my first Pi in February of 2012, February 11th, 2012. So 12 years and 4 days ago, I ordered my first Pi. Thought that was kind of cool. And it didn't ship until May 1st. The cost was $25. And I remember that day that when I learned about it, was in the offices, and I walked over to Scott and said, Scott, you can't believe this cool thing that I just found and ordered, and tried to convince everybody in the office to buy one. And I think I was the only one, at least at that time. Let me tell you about that first Pi briefly. It had a single core CPU running at 700 megahertz, a pair of USB ports, 256 megabytes of RAM, and the onboard I/O chip could decode, it could do hardware decoding of MPEG-2 video and VC1 audio. But it didn't include a license, and so it wouldn't do it. You had the capability there, but you couldn't take advantage of it unless you sent some money to Raspberry Pi Store. I know you can't see that very well, but for £2, you could purchase the license for the MPEG-2 decoder, and for £1 more for the audio decoder, and then you ran this little one-time program, and it was tied to the serial number of your unit, so you couldn't put this license in all the Pis that you bought back then. And suddenly you had hardware video decoding and hardware audio decoding, and it was light years better than the software decoding that we were trying to accomplish on those first generation Pis. I know you can't see it very well, but there it is. £3 for MPEG, £2 for MPEG, £1 for VC1. Grand total, £3. So I got into a conversation with a person on the Discord server. It's been an on and off conversation. He'll send me a message or a question. I'll respond. I'll send him a message. You know, one of those things. And he contacted me the other day and said, we do this thing. Would you like to participate? And I said, yes, I would. But let's talk. You know, I don't. He offered me something very nice. And I said, but, you know, just out of the blue, you can't just offer that. Let's talk. You know, let me learn a little bit about you and what you guys do, because it's interesting. It's interesting enough to offer to me. My email screen in the live show showed your Raspberry Pi account password. That's okay. Welcome to. They made me change that years and years ago. So you're welcome to try. So we talked about what he does. He's a very specialized. They are a very specialized internet service provider. They exist to serve the data stream from the International Space Station, and they need to have their servers in a place that's reliable, a data center. And so we talked about his organization a little bit. We talked about the data center, and it turns out that he is local. I am local. This data center is literally 20 minutes from me. I said, can I get a tour? Absolutely. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I am going down to Micro Center yesterday. I don't know where your data center is, but it's very likely between where I am and where Micro Center is. So if that works, let's meet there. And sure enough, it's on my way. It's 20 minutes from the house. So I went here. Let me tell you a little bit about this data center, because this is going to get really good. What you see over here is 18 racks of air conditioners. Each rack has 6 air conditioners, and there's more air conditioners elsewhere. You can't take much photography here, but I photographed what I was allowed to photograph. It's a secure facility, because the data warehousing that's going on in there, they lease, right? They lease to this special case ISP. They lease to universities who put their entire IT infrastructure there, their research infrastructure. There's other ISPs. There's other cloud hosted things. There's, you know, traditional hosted websites. It's all kinds of things. But there's some really, you know, high security stuff in there. So the place is locked to the nines, and you got to go through security 1 and security 2, and you're not allowed to jump the razor wire fence. And I was allowed to take a couple pictures inside the organization that I'm working with or meeting with here. This far rack against the wall, you can't see, these are 4 half racks. So the lower right half rack is their current stuff, and they've only been in there a couple of months, and they're already totally outgrowing it. And so they've leased, right now this is empty, the right-hand most rack will hold their next generation stuff. Let me tell you a little bit about some of their stuff. Super secure. The building is nondescript. There's no signage. You wouldn't know what it is when you drove past it. What do we got here? Oh, wow. So we're talking, I'm learning, I'm listening. I know a little bit about what they're talking about, and they're throwing terms at me like, oh, we have this dark fiber that we connect to from here to there with. Stop. What is dark fiber? Well, there's bundles of fiber optic cable that connect you to tier 1 ISPs, but within those bundles of individual fibers, there are fibers that organizations use for point-to-point and isn't part of the internet. That's a dark fiber. These guys are a cross-connect. They exist to be a tier X, tier 1, tier 2 ISP. And so people use their internet connections and their internet cabling to cross and bridge parts of the internet using, some of you who studied networking or security, maybe with some mathematical symbol behind it, you might have learned about peering. They have peering agreements with other folks. And I've always had this argument about people that, yeah, it's free to each other, except, there has to be some kind of accounting in there. We got this much service from them. They got this much service from us. And that has a monetary value. And so the government wants its share of taxes. Nope. It's all free in between them. That's kind of cool. They have in their rack a 48-port Juniper switch, 2.4 terabit bandwidth in there. I don't usually ask this crude, classless question. I said, how much does one of those things cost? Oh, about $25,000. All of their servers in the rack have 0.5 terabyte of RAM, and they're each connected to 18 terabyte storage arrays. They have their own edge router to get to and from the internet with the whole internet routing table in there. 1.2 million IPv4 routes and 200,000 IPv6 routes. And folks, some of their routes might be great, except when some particular peer or ISP or exchange carrier or whatever has a problem. It slows down. This is one of the reasons that NOCs exist, Network Operations Centers. They get alarms. Hey, we're getting slow traffic here. We're getting slow pings from here to there. And some operator, some technician, somebody higher than that, at the NOC reconfigures the router, at least for now, and says, okay, well, instead of going through L3 or Helix or whoever, we're going to make our primary jump from here to that using this routes. So cool, amazing stuff. I have lots more here. I won't share this with you because visit number 2 is next week. I'm going down to their NOC, very close to our old offices. And then after that, next month, we're going to get 1 or 2 of their people to come on the show and talk about this stuff knowledgeably. So it was cool. This is the cloud. This facility is the cloud. I went to the cloud. So I just think that's absolutely cool and amazing. And I had a wonderful visit. All right, last piece of real tech news. 2019, a coalition of organizations and companies initially funded by Google sets out to create the first practical open hardware security chip. Now, there's an open hardware CPU out there called RISC. It's been around for many, many years, and it gets better and better all the time. So take your TPM chip, which has a lot of proprietary technology in it, and let's create a system, or said they, that's open source. So for it to be open source, it's got to be secure. And one of the things, the hardware itself is open source, but once it's packaged, you can't get in it and get the secrets out. And the secrets in there are that it generates security codes, cryptographic keys that are inaccessible remotely. And what have we got here? The name of the chip, it's called Earl Grey. The name of the coalition is called Open Titan. You can see on the little, you can't see under my head there, but under my head is a little LCD display that says Open Titan on there. So if successful, and they just made this announcement this week that they've released the chip, this may become an alternative to TPM chips, RSA chips, and other security tokens. Oh, by the way, speaking of RSA, we were talking about that NASA stream, and I got so much more about that, but they'll tell you. The NASA stream is encrypted, and it changes encryptions midstream every 60 seconds. I think Doug Jones told us that one time in his visit on another show, on a previous show. All right, that's all the news. Let's go see what's going on with you guys, and then we'll talk about Popeye. Let me get my page up to the right place and my face on screen. And that's how that works. All right, who's here? What are you guys doing? Why are you doing this? More people have turned up here. Got to figure out where I dropped off since I've super schooled. If you don't know that number, you're not old. I'm not far enough back yet. Oh, wow. I've got to go way back. Okay, that's where we're talking about Micro Center. What did Shia say? That you said nice about? Supposed to be getting Micro Center. Yeah, we got that. Micro Center Envy. Okay. Goya. No Mexican. Okay, that's where we left off. So see-through. Must be a ping. Well, I always do pings, but I don't always do them transparently. So I missed that one. Happens. Interesting that it doesn't show on the PNP. Yeah. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to mess with your head. Sometimes I make these things and I don't actually look at them. I just assume they came out perfect. And off they go. Text me. I forgot to send him my phone number a couple of weeks ago. He did text me. You want to leave that up? Are you nuts? You know what? Tell you what, I am removing that. Because it ain't just the 9 of us here. We get a lot more viewers post-show. Oh, it was... Okay, I recognize it. Sorry, totally missed that. All right. Yep. 8675309. Yes, I saw the link in ADRAMADA as well. Looking forward to seeing it. Oh, yeah, it's cool. Very cool visit to Data Center Dave. Looking forward to the knock visit. Man, me too. Adam, if you're watching and you want to invite Scott as well, I know that he will be as bowled over as I am. That was rude. I have no right to. Still, it'd be cool. Oh, man. Both sides now, huh? I really don't know clouds at all. Though I've flown through a lot of them. They're footnoting all my bad jokes. Good. Almost got punked. Yep, that was my fault. I just looked at the area code and said, Tollywood's giving away his number here. All right, moving on here then. Let's talk about Pop. So first thing I want to offer to you is Pop's maintainer site. System76.com. Pop.system76.com. System76 is the organization that creates and maintains Pop. And they have created and maintained Pop OS for decades. And only recently have they ported it over to Raspberry Pi. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd generation. And what Pop is, in short, is it's an Ubuntu-based distro with a lot of tweaking and customization. So at its heart, it's Ubuntu. But if I didn't tell you that, you know, unless you play with Ubuntu all the time, you may or may not have recognized that. One of their major tweaks is the desktop. They use a GNOME-based desktop, their own proprietary one called Cosmic, and it's designed with lots of look and feel to kind of a hybrid between the Windows desktop and the Mac desktop. So one of the first things that this operating system is really good for is to be a transition, even if you're just trying it out. Hey, I want to try some of this Linux stuff. And of course, it's good for x86 and AMD and now for Raspberry Pi. You can run it in a VM. You can run it on a bootable flash drive. You can run it bare hardware on any of those platforms or the Raspberry Pi, the way we're doing it today. And that's a great way for somebody to explore, hey, maybe there's something in this Linux thing. And it's very easy and it's very intuitive for them to use that desktop and figure it out. Technically, this is a tech preview. I don't think they ever make a final product, but it is solid. It is resilient. It is reliable. So even their last one, it's based on the current LTS release of Ubuntu, which is 22.04. So they call this Pop OS and Pop Pi 22.04. Runs on the Raspberry Pi 4 and 400 and the Raspberry Pi 5. They are indistinguishable as near as I can tell. Obviously, it has to be some minor differences because there's minor differences in hardware, but as far as the apps and how they run and everything, it's all there. Okay, did that. So if you were going to do this yourself, and I encourage you to do it on a Raspberry Pi, you need a Raspberry Pi with 2 gigs of RAM. So many operating systems out there we've talked about in the past, you can do this on a 1 gig model. This one has what is in the eyes of some people has something of a flaw. The installer takes about 1.2 gigs of RAM to do the installation. Once the install is done, then it frees up all that RAM. But just to get yourself started, you're going to need 2 gigs. So a 2 gig model will be just fine because all that memory frees up after the install is done and you're good to go. I'm doing it on a, I've moved to my Raspberry Pi 4, 8 gigs for all these kind of experiments. What about the SD card? You can do it on a 16 gig card. If you're going to spend some time experimenting, do a 32 gig card or maybe even a 64. And all the usual Pi stuff and enclosure. It doesn't come with SSH server, SSHD, pre-installed or pre-configured. So you're going to have to start out with a mouse, keyboard, and monitor, and then you can configure and install that, and we'll do that on our install here in a couple of minutes. So how do I do it? Well, you go to the site that I just posted for you, go to the download page and download the Raspberry Pi. It's a .exe file, and use the Raspberry Pi imager, works just fine, to burn the image to a micro SD card. While that's burning, set up your Raspberry Pi, hook up your monitor and your keyboard and your everything but power. And you can do this without an internet connection, but you obviously won't get updates. So it understands your Wi-Fi in your Pi 4 and your Pi 5, so you don't need a physical cable. And once it's all burned, you pop it in and you apply power, which is what I'm going to do. I have a fresh burned micro SD card, and we've never been able to do this in the past because I've always had to wait until the operating system was installed and get VNC running, and you missed the front end of all that. So I've got some technology that I bought some time ago, and we're going to be able to watch it, hopefully, from boot up to the whole installation procedure. So it's going to boot, it's going to resize the partition, and then it's going to ask for some fairly basic customization, going to answer a few questions, mostly with pull-down menus. Then it's going to say, all done, but it's going to look like a desktop with no icons, and you can't click on anything, and you can't type anything. That's because when it's done, it's not really done. You got to wait 1 to 2 minutes, and then suddenly the desktop will populate, and you are truly done. So here goes. That's one of the installation questions screens. Let's fire up El Gato. And a little headshot. All right, I haven't tried it like this. I haven't tried it from an unboot situation. So here goes. I am applying power to the Raspberry Pi screen that you're looking at. There's my power switch. Okay, that's the boot up rainbow screen. Wow. Something we've never been able to do in the past. Watching this whole thing from boot. Look at that. 4 raspberries up in the upper left-hand corner. That means all 4 cores are working. Oh man, I'm so excited about this. This is where it crashed. I was experimenting with this today and it crashed. So again, if I crash and disappear, just stick with me. I'll be back in a couple of minutes and we'll talk about the rest. I am getting all kinds of activity on my phone. You can run DaVinci Resolve on Pop! OS, except not on a Raspberry Pi, Tullowit, because the video driver isn't right. So I saw this the first time and it went what looks like blank screen and I thought, oh man, it's not going to work. But you can see there was a dash in the upper left-hand corner. That can't happen on random. That has to come from coding. So we're getting there. It's a minute or two. This is a little longer boot up. Here comes a mouse. Good sign. Than a lot of the OSs. Hey, there we go. So we've got Pop! OS booted and sized and all of that. And now here comes the customization questions. So what do you got here for a keyboard? English is already check marked, so I'm good with that. And if I preview, I can go see all kinds of other choices. I'm just going to click next up here. I'm going to need a keyboard here in a moment. There we go. So if I want to hook up to my Wi-Fi, I can. Let's hook up to ABD5. And put in yon password. Caps lock is on. That's the way I want it to be. I need caps lock on for this. Connect. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Grind, grind, grind. How are we doing on time-wise here? It's 47. We're in good shape. Okay, so we're check marked. We could try for more, but I'm good with that. Next. Location services, your choice if you want them on or off. I'll leave them off for now. You can always turn this stuff on later. What time zone am I in? Central. I'm not going to connect any of my online accounts right now, so I'll skip that. What about me? This sucks. I want to put my name in as David, and I want to put my username in as DRushTX. I'm going to type in one character, and he says, nope, there you go. You're D. Nope, I got to click in there again, and A. Okay, you're good. Now I got to do this character by character. All right, so I got my name in there. Now let's get my username in. D. Oh, you scum. Thought I might be able to beat it. R. U. S. H. T. X. All right, I am David. I am DRushTX. Check marks. Good to go on that. And now we set up a password. Which he says is moderate. Okay. And they match. The check mark's there, so good to go. Almost there. All right, says it's all done. Start using. Okay, I'll click start using. And here's that screen that just looks like nothing. There's nothing I can click on here except a couple of these icons in the upper right. But I'm moving my mouse, and my mouse isn't even moving. It's not really done. It's doing its internal configuration, dealing with all of those settings that we just made. So when this comes up in a minute or so, we'll do a very brief tour of the desktop and one or two things in it, and then we'll call that a wind up. And if I get Dave to move out here to Hawaii, he'll have to change his username to DRushHigh. That's right. Okay, so there's one little bit more updating. Where do you want your dock? So right here you can see my dock is currently selected to be at the bottom and stretch edge to edge. Doesn't extend edge to edge or no dock at all. I'm good with this one. Kind of looks like the way Windows does it. And do I want to show my workspaces button? Yes, there are multi-screens available with this. Do I want to show the apps button? That's the little colorful one down in the bottom center that looks like you can't see yet. Date and time notification position. Top center, sure, okay. And switch applications launcher from desktop, control 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are little code keys. There's gestures, questions coming up here, appearance questions. I'm in dark mode. I know you can't see it. All done. Start using. Come on. All right, I'm going to reset this because you're not seeing my desktop. And I sure am. So let me do this. I'm going to pop into slideshow here and transition. Go back into Elgato. Let's check the properties and see why I'm not seeing that. Well, I did use this afternoon and everything came up peachy keen, but the frame buffer is not buying it right now. So I'll just describe it. Well, here, I'll just have to give it a description. I'll be brief here. Match output frame per second, deactivate when not showing. What is going on? I'm going to try something, but I'm afraid it's going to crash. So bear with me for just a second. If it crashes, how much time? 8 minutes? Nah, I'm not going to try it. We'll live. We'll go back to head. That's the joys and dangers of experimenting with new technology, right? At any rate, got a pretty blue screen here with a big P on it. And down across the bottom center, there's a launcher, kind of like Windows has a search and you type in the name of a command or a program. There is a file explorer that goes to your home screen. There's a file explorer that starts at the root of the file system. There's a terminal emulator. There is a show installed applications or add new applications. PopShop is here. If I go into PopShop, it'll do all the upgrades. That's one of the things I wanted to tell you about. I use Ubuntu as my daily driver. I have two different Ubuntu machines. One is on their premium support program. They let you do that free for 5 machines. And that keeps you all updates all the time. It's really good. And the other Ubuntu machine is not a daily driver. I use it to experiment with, and it doesn't have the premium support thing. And so when updates happen, critical ones like operating system updates come through, but not the most current, all the other stuff. It says, hey, there's other updates available. Do you want to do them? Yes, I do. Click, oh, you're not on premium. Sign up for premium. But in 2 or 3 weeks, it will let me do those updates. So it's always a couple weeks behind because I'm not willing to go premium on that machine. Weird stuff. There's one other icon. Oh, so Pop doesn't do any of that nonsense. There's no premium support. When it does an update, when it detects an update, and it's just now detected an update, system updates are available to install. Click here to view available. You can't see it, but I'm going to do it so I can get it refreshed. It will update every kind of updatable software in there. If you installed it with APT, if you installed it with Snaps, if you installed it with anything, he says, I understand that. I support it. I will take care of you. When I did this the other day, there was about 500 updates on this thing. There is one other icon down at the bottom center dock, and that is a gear settings. When you click on that, it looks just like the gear settings. It's configured the same. It's got the same categories as the Ubuntu settings. So it's cool stuff. All right. Let me get straight to the summary on here, do the summary, then we'll talk about everything that everybody else is talking about here. That, by the way, that means you can install snaps, you can install APT, debs, all kinds of goodies can be natively installed here. It's cool stuff. So PopPi and Pop! OS is fine as a standalone OS for folks who want to try the Linux world without the learning curve of some of the more techie distros. And I didn't give you all the benefits of that for time purposes, but I will mention a couple. Besides the fact that it's got this really nice transitional desktop, it's got two other really major features that are just awesome. It has native support for read and writes to NTFS devices. That's cool. You can add that to other Linux flavors, but it's native in Pop. So if you've got an NTFS drive connected over the network with SMB or Samba or something like that, it understands the rules, it understands the logins, it understands the permissions, all that stuff. So that's really cool. Also, it has a process scheduler that's different than the way Ubuntu does it. If you have multiple windows open, applications running in Pop, the one that you're focused on, you can always only be focused on one, will get more resources from the scheduler so that it performs better than all the other non-focused windows. So that's really cool. So it's a great transitional OS. It's a great standalone OS, but good for moving to Ubuntu or something else like that, or any other OS. And then what I think the highest value is that when you couple this with the Pi 5, which is now producing usable performance about twice as fast as a Pi 4 in almost all realms, this is one of the few OSs that could shape the Raspberry Pi, not as a mainstream machine, but a little less niche-y and into daily driver status. So I am very excited about that. All right, what have you guys been talking about until the very bitter end here? Okay, pick it up with footnoting. Almost Punk Dave. You actually did. Okay, you can run DaVinci Resolve on Pop! OS. It's true. And a lot of other Linux distros. Here, this whole time, I thought the buzzing was on my end. Was I buzzing? Was there buzz coming through that HDMI connection? Sorry about that. Dvorak keys. I met Dvorak one time. It was not a happy meeting. Yes, caps lock was on purpose. My Wi-Fi SSID code is all caps, where there are letters. Ooh, you renegade, and all caps. There you go. Yep. Yeah, I got 50 possible names plus the territories, right? For my account. Oh, screen blanking automatically happens really quick on this thing. It's one of the settings you can go through and change. It just blanked out on me. Kind of has a Japanese flavor. It'll fit right in. I'm watching today from my video PC at church. Oh, okay, you're working there. Had to record a video before class. Very nice. Hour drive home. Ugh. Sorry about that. Catch up on your podcasts. All right, guys. Well, we are done. Still buzzing. Sorry about that. What can I do to make it not buzz? I know what to do. That may have solved the problem. I just powered the thing down. Hey, well, guys, gals, thank you ever and always. You guys are wonderful. This show doesn't happen without you. And it never will. You guys go away, the show goes away, and I go off and do other things in other mystical parts of the world. So we're going to wind up. Thanks, all everybody, for turning up, especially some of the surprise faces and Shia, the regular now. Take care, everyone, says Scott. All right. I wish you a great... Whoops. How do I got to do this thing? I got to go over here. There we go. Now, I wish you a great rest of the week. Please take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy. And if at all possible, call or visit your parents. And, of course, never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. And with that, remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. Eat that pork,